Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is my very first YouTube video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a full set of acrylic nails for beginners. As you can see here, I am proceeding to take the shine off the natural nail. The bit that I am using to do this is the mandrel bit, and I'm using the fine sanding band for that. This is a very important step because, as you may know, we do produce a lot of oils in our bodies, and that can affect the nails from pretty much staying on if all of the oils aren't removed. So this next step here, as you can see, I am applying my nail tips. And this step is also very important because you don't want to apply a tip that is too big or too small. You want to make sure that it fits exactly correct to the nail. So after applying the nail tips, you're going to go ahead and cut them to your desired length. For this video, I decided just to do a short set. I do apologize in advance because there are going to be certain parts where you may not be able to see my hands that well, but I was able to get some good footage so that you guys could properly see. I'm still working on how to fix my camera and everything for these videos, so just stay tuned for that. I promise it'll be a little better. The shape we're going to be going with today is square, and I'm going to be using my 8080 nail file to achieve a really nice squared look. For that, it's just important to hold your file straight just so that you don't get any curves. Me personally, I like a sharp square. I don't really like mine with rounded edges, so to achieve that look, you just, as you could see, pull the skin back a little bit next to the nail, and you just file as straight as you can without turning it. So after filing, I like to go in with my e-file and just kind of like smooth out the smile line of the nail tip. Honestly, this step is optional. Not everyone does it, so you don't technically have to do it. I just like to do it. just to make sure the tips are as flat as possible. So now I'm going to go ahead and prime the nails. This part is really crucial. You must not skip this part, because if you do, your nails will lift like the next day. So me personally, I like to double prime. I'm using the no lift primer. I just emptied it into an empty bottle that I had. But I like to double prime. It works for me. You don't necessarily have to do it, but I like to do it. But always just read the instructions on the primer bottles anyway. So the size brush I'm going to be using today is a size 22, I believe. I'm not sure, but I know it's definitely in the 20s. It's a Kolinsky brush, and I picked it up at my local nail supply store. When I first started doing nails, I started with a size 10 or 12. I definitely do recommend starting smaller, just so that you can have more control of your product. But the monomer that I'm using today is going to be Young Nails, that I also went ahead and poured into an empty container that I had. So the polymer I'm going to be using today is Classic Nude by Valentino. It's a really pretty nude. I actually have his full cover collection, and it is so nice, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and swatch it so you can see what the color looks like before I go ahead and put it on. I also want to let you guys know that you don't have to use Valentino for this. You could use any acrylic powder that you have at the moment. It could be a little bit pricey, so I do recommend, if you are a beginner, to start off with something that's inexpensive but also really good, like Mia Secret. But if you guys want, let me know if you want a video of all the things that I used when I was a beginner, so that maybe you can get an idea of what you could use. So now with putting on the acrylic powder, you want to be very careful. You want to get as close as you can to the cuticle area without drowning the product in it. What I find helps is, once you apply the powder and you kind of feel like maybe it's starting to get a little stiff, you can dip your brush back into the monomer, and it will help loosen up the powder so that you have more control. This part is actually as well really crucial when it comes to shaping, because the more you're able to control the powder, the less filing you have to do to get the perfect shape. If you're able to just control it as you're putting it on, your shape will stay. Because normally when you apply acrylic powder, you just automatically lose the shape, especially if you apply too much product. So you want to be really careful with that. So this part right here, I'm actually happy that you guys are able to witness this, because even me being a nail tech of 4 years, I don't always pick up, the perfect bead. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I just want to show you guys how well I was able to control the powder after it being runny as it was. So with that, you just have to make sure that you kind of keep the nail leveled and use your brush to kind of push the product back to where it needs to be. So as you can see, like, I'm patting the acrylic down, cleaning up the sides, straightening up the free edge to keep the perfect shape. And also the reason why it was runny was because of the fact that there was too much liquid in my brush. So just try the best that you can to get the perfect liquid powder ratio so that it doesn't happen, at least not too constantly. after applying the powder, we're gonna go ahead and file the nails just to kind of clean up, you know, the sides and make sure everything's nice and clean. So like I stated earlier in the video, you want to make sure that your nail file is held as straight as possible in order to get that straight, perfect, crisp shape. Like I said, I don't really like to round out the corners of my shapes. I definitely have clients that like that, but me personally, I don't. So to get that shape, just make sure you hold it as straight as possible without, you know, like turning it or angling it in any way. Otherwise, you will get rounding at the corners. So for this next step, I'm going to be using my e-file. I'm not really sure how many RPMs I'm using just because I'm using the Mani Pro and it doesn't show the actual numbers on it. But just make sure you have it at a decent speed. The bit that I'm using for this is going to be the medium bit. Again, I picked it up at my local nail supply store. So as you can see here, I'm using the e-file to go ahead and smooth out the nail and also clean up the cuticle area. This part here is also very, very, very important because if you don't clean up the cuticle area well, you will get lifting. I know as a beginner, this part can be very scary. It was scary for me my first time using it because I really didn't want to cut anyone. But practice makes perfect, and you know, eventually you'll get to a point where you're comfortable with using it. But I cannot stress this enough that you cannot skip this step, and you have to do this step really, really well if you want to ensure that your nails last, you know, a decent amount of time. So I just want to show you guys the finished product. You know, nice side profile, nice clean and crisp shape, nice cuticle area. You know, that's the results that you would want, you know, when you're done. So now we're just going to buff the nails. I'm not going to be putting any polish on. I'm just going to do top coat. So this just makes sure that the top coat goes on pretty smooth and gives you that nice, clean, and shiny finish. What I also like to do after buffing is going again with my file just to make sure that my shape is nice and clean, because sometimes as well with buffing it can kind of ruin the shape. So I like to go back in with my file and just kind of clean it up a little bit. It's optional, but I like to do it. So I would recommend, you know, just checking everything and making sure it still looks good after buffing. So now it's time for the best part, the top coat. The top coat that I'm going to be using is C&C gel. So aside from me doing nails at home, I also do nails in an actual nail salon. And this is the top coat that we use there. So I've just been using it. It really does the job for me. You just want to make sure you have a top coat that leaves your nails like really nice and shiny and gives off a nice finish. So after curing for 60 seconds, I'm going to go in with my favorite cuticle oil from House of Supplies and rub that in. And here is the finished product. So nice, so crisp, and so shiny. Let me know what you guys think of my very first video, and also comment below what else you guys would like to see on my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I post.